Okay, I'm back on this motor swap that I was showing you. This is going to be part 2, but also what I'm going to cover in this video is the infamous heater core. There it is there. I've already pulled it, but I want to show you a couple things that you have to do to get it out, and hopefully that might help somebody out. But here's the old engine that came out of this this green 2000 GT. This is the old motor and trans. It's already been pulled. This motor has a rod knock. I'll probably be parting it out, or I might just take it to the scrap and whatever they give me. I don't know, I'm not sure yet. I really don't have enough room for it here. I've got a ton of motors and tons of parts everywhere. So, but back to this. So excuse me. The reason I'm doing this heater core is because the 04 style, let me see if you can see that. The 04 style is this quick connect on the heater hoses that go to the intake. I mean, actually, I'm sorry, yeah, one goes to the intake and one goes through the bottom underneath the intake and routes down to the water pump. Okay, so in order to use this style, I have to use the 04 style heater core. This is the old style here, and it had a little rib here. It was flared out. I tried cutting it, and to see if I could use this, I would have to cut it a little further back, and then this would have to slide all the way forward, which it's going to be really tight in there, and I may get leaks, I may not. So what I'm going to do is I just said the hell with it, I'm going to go ahead and change the heater core. So we're going to go from that style to this style. These fittings here are pretty much you know, rounded off a little bit in the front, and then your quick disconnect just clamps onto here, and that's pretty much the gist of it. As far as the engine and trans, they're already in. I have a little bit of wiring left to do, and that's pretty much it. Battery, of course the radiator, cooling fan, and then this car is ready to run. But I didn't want to keep going with that until I got the issue with the heater core resolved. So let me show you what I'm talking about with this heater core. First off, evaporator here. You're gonna have to use some quick disconnect tools, and you're gonna take off this unit here. There's a line that goes in here from the condenser, and there it is there. If you have a quick disconnect tool, let me see if I have it laying around here, I might show it to you. This is what it looks like. This is the tool that you're going to need. It has multiple fittings, or multiple sizes, I'm sorry, for different size fittings. So you can use it there, you know, you could use it there, you can use it front, you can use it back. Anyway, so first off we're taking that out. So we have this area here where basically it's going to be free from the HVAC box that's inside the car. Okay, so there's the line, there's the canister, and now I'm going to show you some shots from inside the car. We've already removed the dash. The quick way to move the dash out, I'm going to point out to where all the bolts are. I have already done this. I wasn't able to do it, you know, obviously while I was filming. The heater core is going to be inside here, so when you get this assembly out, like I have sitting here, this is your whole complete HVAC system, and then these are the lines that go out through the firewall. You have to remove the lines, or have to disconnect the lines in order to pull this unit out, otherwise you're going to be breaking stuff. There's also an 11mm nut that's here, goes straight through the firewall. You can see there's a hole for it there, and then also there's an 8mm that goes through here into the firewall. Of course this unit sits up, you know, sits up more like this. It sits up and it's going to look just like that, and it goes into the firewall. So there's an 8mm there, and then there's a 10 here and a 10 here on these little L-shaped steel clamps, and that goes here and that other one goes right on here. So you have 1, 2, this one here, 3, and the 4th one is down at the very bottom underneath the feet, and it would look like this. This is the actual screw. So after you take those off, you'll be able to get the HVAC unit out. Now that's obviously before, or I'm sorry, after you pulled the dash. Now to go over the dash real quick, I'm going to go over the mounting points on the dash. Starting off on the driver's side. Driver's side here, you have a 15mm nut right off the bat. Of course, you have to take off your kick panel and your scuff plate on the driver's side. You have to take them off on both sides, passenger and driver. Then there's going to be 1, 2, 3, and then underneath the carpet a little ways, 4 and 5 wiring connectors that you have to unplug. Also from your control box, your interior control box, all controls your headlights, blinkers, hazards, all that stuff inside the car, your chime. It's going to have these 2 plugs. There's only 2 of them that have to come out. The 3rd one just plugs right back into the harness in the dash. So these 2 come out, stays there. You have another mounting point here, and that's just a little ways up from the 15mm nut that I told you about down here. So there's an 8mm here. Then you go on top of the dash, there's a plastic strip that goes where your defroster vents come out. There's going to be 1, after you take that plastic strip, you'll see it on top of the dash. As soon as you unclip it, it pops right up. This one here, 8mm, also an 8mm in the center, and then finally another 8mm on the passenger side. Okay, so that's as far as the mounting bolts there. I took this there's a 10mm bolt that goes here, goes through here, and it holds your steering wheel, you know, basically into the shaft there. Your whole, basically when I took out the dash, I took it out with the steering wheel. I'll show you that here in a little bit. But let me see if I can find the bolt. Yes, here it is. This is what this looks like. Basically, when it goes into your other part there, it basically just holds it in via this little indentation and doesn't go anywhere. So also, when you pull the dash, there's a connector that goes into the firewall, and it clips on the other side. So we're gonna have to get it from the other side in the fender area. In the fender, and it's basically underneath the fender liner. This car had no fender on it, so it's quick and easy, but it just clips into here. You're gonna have to take off the 10mm bolt, pull this main connector off, and then there's 2 little clips on the side here that you have to pinch. One here and one on the opposite side, and those have to get pinched, and it'll go. It'll slide back into the compartment, the passenger compartment. Alright, let me come over here to the passenger side. I'm trying to make this video as fast as possible. I know I don't want to bore you guys with all this stuff, but another same thing on this side. Scuff plates off, kick panel. Remove the kick panel. This plug didn't have to get removed. This plug can stay here. But these two on the frontmost plugs, if you're looking on the, if you're looking at the kick panel from my position here, basically the 2 front plugs get disconnected. And also there's a plug on the HVAC system that sits right up under where your blower motor is. That gets disconnected. Your vacuum lines for your AC system get disconnected. And also there's a control knob. For your control knob, there's a wire. I'm going to put this back into place here. Somewhat back into place. Sorry about this. Okay. So this is basically what we're looking at here. Okay. There's the control knob for your settings on your AC. Your vents is basically here. This is has a little plastic knob that you just unclip and it comes straight off. So as far as that's concerned, those are your mounting points on the electrical That way you can just be free when you pull it out. On the passenger side also, there's an 8mm bolt here, and just a little bit lower from that point there's another one here. So total we've got 1, 2 up on top again, 3, 4, 5. Then we go back down to the kick panel area, 6, and finally that 15mm, 7, and then the 10mm that disconnects the steering wheel. Where are we at? 11, 12. And then finally in this area you're gonna look down and see this 8mm bolt with the huge washer on it, and there's gonna be 4 of those. So I believe there's 16 mounting points, if I counted correctly. So there's gonna be 1 in the rear, 1 up front, and then the same thing on the opposing side. So there's 4 total, and they look like, where'd it go? There it is. They look like these big guys here. And the rest of the 8mm bolts are going to look like this, pretty much the same thing with just a smaller washer. Okay, and then one final thing that I just remembered, I just disconnect the shift cable, and it basically mounts up to this point here. The cable clips into this little opening here, and then finally right up top there's a Torx bolt that holds it into place. And that's about it. This is your Torx bolt. Basically looks like this. If you know what Torxes are, they'll just be just like that. And that basically remove that. Also, there's going to be a little cotter pin clip holding it in to the shifter. I think I covered pretty much everything. Let me go ahead and show you the dash and what it looks like when it's removed. Of course, I didn't mention you have to actually take out the center console as well. Center console is fairly easy to remove. I'm not going to go over that. But this is the infamous heater core job and why it's so expensive. Here's the complete dash. As you can see, you can take the whole dash out. Airbags. You know, this one didn't have a stereo in it. Took it all out complete with the cluster, steering wheel, airbag. I mean, it's just complete. I don't like to tear down the dash and drop the steering wheel and all this other stuff. I've done it the other way, and I just figured this is the simplest, fastest way to do it. I can get this job done in about 2.5 to 3 hours. Either way, with the motor in or out of the car, doesn't matter. Here's the main connector. I told you comes through the firewall. And these are the clips that you basically set back, one on each side, and it pushes it back into the passenger compartment. Shift cable. This is what your shift cable looks like. Basically routes underneath into where the underneath the center console compartment here. And finally, your joint for your steering shaft. And your 10mm bolt would obviously go there. As soon as you take that out, it'll come loose. What else we have here? Vacuum lines. These are the vacuum lines. That's pretty simple to disconnect. And this guy here, this is for your control. Basically controls the area where the airflow goes. You know, defrost, vent, heater, whatever. And that's just a little clip. You pull back on this and slide forward. That comes right out. Kick panel connectors, and then there's some more kick panel connectors on this side. Pretty simple. I've done it plenty of times. So anyways, if this helps anybody out, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll post this video up on the on part 2. It's actually getting pretty lengthy, so I'm gonna let you guys go here. So anyways, comment if you have any questions, or just email me.